It was Duchess.
But that didn't last long, because on March 3rd, Katie and Chris spoke to the podcast Duchess about Sebastian's disappearance, and this was their first interview with the media.
This episode contains content that may be disturbing or sensitive to listeners. Discretion is advised.
Welcome, everybody, to Duchess Discussions. We're live from Myrtle Beach. I'm going to play our fair use copyright, and we're going to get started. Copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Okay, guys, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Duchess, and I have two special guests with me tonight. Welcome, Arctic Fox True Crime. Thank you so much for being on panel with me tonight. We are going to be talking about the case of the disappearance of Dylan Ehler out of Nova Scotia, Canada. And I do have a special guest that is joining Arctic and I tonight, and that is Jason Eller, which is Dylan's father. Please welcome Jason to the live stream. Thank you so much, Jason, for joining us to be here to talk about the disappearance of your son.
Anything for my son, anything to spread awareness.
Well, we do appreciate you being here because this case, I did not know about your son missing, but I do have some moderators and I have members and subscribers that live in Canada. So I'm sure they're very familiar with this case. So I think I've had special requests to cover this case, and I started digging in, and Arctic Fox started digging in. And this is this is really concerning about how all of this took place. So I'm just going to go over here and just kind of say hey to everybody. I want to welcome everybody in. I want to get, on into the conversation, but I do appreciate everyone being here. Please don't forget to like this stream and share this stream out for awareness, because Dylan is still actively missing. And he has been missing for quite some time, since 2020, May of 2020. And I do have a flyer that I made. There are several flyers that are actually going around. And I did send this to Jason today, and he told me that it was something that I needed to change on his flyer. But we're going to go over the details of this, and I'm going to let Jason talk to us about what needs to be changed. And when we're done with this live stream, I'm going to update it, have him to approve it, and we're going to get this flyer circulating around. Dylan Norman John Eller is missing from Truro, Nova Scotia, Canada, and he was 3 years old when he went missing on May the 6th of 2020. He is a Caucasian male. His nationality, he's Canadian. His right eye is half hazel and half blue, and his left eye is blue. Is that correct, Jason?
I think it's hazel. I think there's some mistakes on the posters.
Okay, well, you can make sure that you let me know all the details that we need to change, and we can make sure that we get that corrected.
No problem.
He's 3 feet tall when he went missing and 32 pounds. He has blondish brown hair, it looks like in the pictures. He was wearing a camo winter jacket with a fur hood and USA patches on the arms and chest, a red dinosaur t-shirt, camo jogging pants, gray and orange rubber boots. The location of the disappearance occurred at Elizabeth Street at his grandmother's house, and that was in Truro, Nova Scotia, Canada. Apparently his grandmother had taken the dog out, and she turned her back to tie the dog up. And when she turned around, Dylan had disappeared. Now, I understand that the recovery of his boots suggested that he may have fallen into the river, but the exact circumstances are unknown. And to go near the water would have not been like him, and there was no other signs that were found. If you see any information circulating on the internet with Dylan's flyer, please share that. And if you have any tips or any information, please do call the Truro Police Department, or you can call the Crime Stoppers there in Canada, and the number is on this flyer. Now, Jason, the day that this occurred, talk to me about what exactly happened. So how was your son? Was the grandmother babysitting him?
So me and his mom got into a no contact order a week prior to his disappearance.
Okay.
So in fact, I wasn't even there that day. So I can tell you my story. So
Okay,
I woke up at my mom's house due to the no contact order. May 6th, I was really eager to have Dylan, was really eager to have him. So I messaged Ashley, I messaged Dorothy, the grandmother, no response. I remember me and my mom getting into a little bit of an argument about having him over because my dad was in the hospital with gangrene on his toes, so he was getting them chopped off. So it was kind of an argument. And then after that argument, I talked to victim services for almost 2 hours. I was having a rough time. So I talked to them for a little bit with no contact order. Me and Ashley were together for 13 years, so it was different. COVID-19 had just taken place. We just got into the lockdown around that time, give or take. We were all laid off of our work.
Mm-hmm.
It was more intense in the household. We're all around each other all the time. It was just different. We got into an argument. It escalated. And that's what happened with no contact order. Anyway, after I was done talking to victim services, I tried messaging Ashley and the grandmother, Dorothy Parsons, again, no response. So me, my mom, my sister, Felicia, my mom's name is Lynn, they went to, so we all got into a car. I remember I drove, it was my mom's car. We decided to go to the grandmother's first because it was along the way to my house, but I wasn't allowed there, so we'll say Ashley's place for now.
Okay.
And so on the way, Dorothy's was closer, the grandmother, so I figured I'd stop there to just see if he was there. So I remember driving towards the house. I remember we stopped at Needs right quick to buy a drink. Got back in the car. As we approached the grandmother's house, I remember a cop car being in the yard, female officer standing in the driveway, and I never really thought anything of it, right? I was just like, I obviously you knew there was something up. There's a cop in the air, but you'd never think it was your son, right? Especially a 3-year-old child. So
Right.
we roll up, and I get into the car, and the cop said, "Are you Jason Ehler?" I said, "Yes, I'm just here to see if my son's here. If Ashley's here, I don't want to breach conditions or anything like that." And the officer said, "No." She said, "Are you Dylan's father?" And I said, "Yes." And then that's when she told me that Dylan was missing. And Dylan had been missing for almost 3 hours at that point. So I remember hitting the ground onto my knees. I remember crying, and the shock hit like crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So I
I
walked right into it, didn't see it coming.
I can only imagine the pain that you must be going through because May 2020, quite some time has passed and you still don't have any idea where Dylan is.
No, and at that time we were just trying to figure out how to get through the mass shooting that just happened in Truro, Nova Scotia. We had Canada's biggest mass shooting in Nova Scotia, where a guy dressed up as a cop and drove around with a replica cop car, RCMP, and killed 23 people in our area.
I did see
Um,
that. That was in April, just a month
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right
So we
before.
were,
Yeah,
so we were dealing with a lot of stuff. So it was already, it's a crazy month or a crazy year, really, 2020. But
definitely. That was quite I do remember that happening. I think 22 people,
23 because it was 22 people, but there was a pregnant woman, so we say the 23.
okay. Well, that
So,
does make
in
sense.
respect of the baby, right? So
I understand that. Absolutely so. That is so very scary. I can
yeah.
only imagine what's been going through your mind since that time. So when all of this happened, I know we were talking about the boots because on this poster, you know, now I have to ask you, does Dylan have any medical concerns? Was he on any medications? Did he have anything
No,
going on? Okay,
no.
good to know. And we talked about the description along with these gray and orange rubber boots. Talk to me about the boots.
So boots were found by RCMP divers. There's a whole. It's very with the whole cop thing. We took the cops to a police complaint commissioner. There's a lot of wrongdoings they did, and a lot of cover-ups, and even the deputy chief retired, and search and rescue head of Colchester search and rescue actually lost respect of the chief. Whole bunch of crazy stuff, but what the cops say is the RCMP dive team found his boots. One
Mhm.
between 7 and the second one at around 7:30 p.m. that night of his disappearance. Yes, they were orange and gray.
Okay, and
But then, basically, Ashley and the grandmother, her mother, identified them to being Dylan's boots. I didn't identify them because I wasn't there. I don't know what he was wearing. Hell, I don't even know what his boots look like at the time because, going to work and everything, last thing you're worried about is a pair of boots, right? So
right.
I couldn't identify anyway. I wasn't there that day. So
Now, from what I understand
for,
about the
for
boots
almost,
that I read, Jason, I wanted to ask you before you continue. the thing that got me about the boots was I understand that when they first searched, apparently there is, I guess there's like a part that runs to the Salmon River right
Yes.
behind the grandmother's home.
Yeah.
And when they originally searched, I was told that the boots were not originally found, but they were found, several hours later when they were searching. And that is odd for the boots to just be sitting there in the water. But Dylan,
So it goes a little different than, well, so the problem is there was a big delay on taking Dylan being missing seriously, and that's on the police. So it took 3 hours and 8 minutes for them to relay to um what do you call it? My mind's blank. To EMO that there was a missing child. So there was a
okay,
big delay on his alert for the non-intrusive alert. And then there's a big delay on getting search and rescue on boots on the ground. There was a delay of, well, it took almost 2.5 hours for search and rescue to get boots on the ground. And I noticed comments from head of Colchester Communications. I have a post, actually, a screenshot from May 6th, complaining about the times that they had to go out. And, when they leave their families, it wasn't a good feeling because the critical time's already over. So they're going out to search for someone that's no longer alive, most likely. So we had concerns on that. There's a
right,
big screw up when it came to first searching for my son.
Oh,
So it's
well,
probably the delay in finding the boots, but the whole boot thing doesn't make sense anyways, and we'll get to that.
yeah,
okay,
because there's a big discrepancy in whether the boots are even the right size to be Dylan's or not.
So it gets bigger than that. So Dorothy and his mother identified his boots wrong. So the boots were bought 2 weeks prior to his disappearance. And then his mom calls me, I think it was only 6 months ago from today. And she said she had a meeting with the police. She was crying. She said, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I identified Dylan's boots wrong. So
Wow.
she was watching a video
hmm
of Dylan, just bringing back memories. And she came across a video of him running across the kitchen, and it wasn't too far behind. It wasn't too far from when he disappeared. So it was, in that year
hmm
or within a few weeks of his disappearance. It was around his birthday, I do believe. And he went missing 2 weeks after his birthday. Anyway, she was watching the video and stopped the video and realized that the boots that cops found are in fact not Dylan's. So that's why I'm going on Global News. Actually, this Monday, I'm not allowed to say where I'm going to do the interview or anything because they don't want anyone to know, because we got a lot of weird followers and stalkers and people that try to destroy my life right now. It's kind of sick. They got a big group, and I've been working on trying to get it shut down. They've been terrorizing everybody for years. But the boots aren't Dylan's, and it's a big 4-year fuck up, basically. So, and I'm angry at the police on that aspect too, because when the boots were identified, so what are the statistics? 95% of the 95% of the time, it's a family member or a friend. So why didn't the cops make sure 100% that those were Dylan's boots? Because they had the information that they were bought 2 weeks prior to his disappearance. So they could have went to Walmart where the grandmother stated she bought them, went on videos and receipts and stuff like that, and actually seen what boots she bought. And unfortunately, none of that was done by police. So they tried that 3 weeks ago, I think, or a few months ago anyway. The Truro police actually went to Walmart to try to retrieve all this stuff 4 years later. And Walmart only holds that stuff for 2 years, so it backfired on them. But that's more stress. It's like, why didn't you guys check that out 4 years ago? And now we're in this big fucking problem that the boots aren't his. It's been 4 years. They were identified wrong. So why were a pair of boots in the brook the same time my son went missing? So it more looks like someone planted them. So why was there a brand new pair of boots in the brook at the same time my son went missing? but then they're identified wrong, so they're not his. So what were them boots even doing to begin with in that area? It's real messed up.
I noticed on your Facebook
I'm
page.
angry about it, so I get a little upset when I talk about it.
No one
Hey,
can
and
fault you for that.
that's understandable. Now, I did
I
notice
searched the
that
whole Bay of Fundy, right? I searched the whole Bay of Fundy, and it's took me 3.5 years to do it. And I'm like, I feel like it wasn't a waste of time, but now I feel like it was a waste of time. I could have been doing other things because of this big screw up. But go ahead, guys.
so where the location that the grandmother lives to the Bay of Fundy, how far is that? I mean, that river looks like it runs pretty rapid through there.
So the brook runs probably 300-400 meters. So from behind the grandmother's house, we'll say the brook is right there, probably 150 meters, 200 meters from her house. You can walk down to the brook, maybe 300 meters. And from behind her house to the actual mouth of the river, or the mouth of the brook into the Salmon River, it's probably another 300 meters from there to actually get out to the river. His boots were found. The boots that his mom and the grandmother thought were his never left the brook. They were both submerged in the brook, but one was found in the brook underwater. The water would hit a corner of the wall in the brook, and it would cause erosion. And in that erosion, there was a shopping cart, and in the shopping cart was his first boot submerged underwater. And then the second one was underneath the train bridge, closer to the mouth of the river. Both boots stayed in the brook. A lot of debris, a lot of fences. They call it fences, like logs crossing, stuff like that. I even remember Search and Rescue saying, I don't see how he would have made it through this brook. And then we got cops saying that the brook was up to their chest, but in pictures, they're not even up to their waist. So there was a lot of exaggeration. But that's what we were being told. But I think they dropped the ball at that time. So they were it's a messy case and a lot to do with the cops.
Well, in my opinion, they dropped the ball right off the bat by not issuing an Amber Alert right off Jump Street, because had they done that, this case could be completely different now.
Yep. I remember. So it's small town police, Truro police. I remember the RCMP saying if he had arrived on scene and they couldn't find that child within 10 minutes, they would have called all resources. So, they broke protocol when we took them to court. We learned from our lawyer that, for an example, Sergeant Hunka, Truro police officer, was first on scene. He should have been IC of the search or CI of the search, IC of the search. He should have been in control, should have been able to call in all the resources, but that's not what happened. The deputy chief took over his duties, told Sergeant Hunka, I'm taking over. It took an extra hour for EMO to send out the alert because the chief didn't know his address of his disappearance. So why would it take 3 hours to get an address of a missing child when apparently you guys showed up within 4 minutes? So how is there a giant 3-hour delay with EMO? And then they tried to blame EMO. If you watch W5 News, they get caught in a couple of good lies.
Mhm.
And it stands the hair right up on you. It's horrible.
Wow.
It's
So I was just
heartbreaking.
while you were talking, I pulled up a map of Truro, and I was just trying to take a look here. It looks like it's, kind of a small town, and you can see how the Salmon River, just kind of cuts, right through that area, and then it comes out into that bay area. Is that where the Bay of Fundy is?
When it opens up and gets bigger, yes. So the Salmon River, you probably see the 102 highway bridge,
I'll share
and
I'll share my
probably
screen, and we can take a look at
a
it.
mile after that, it opens into the bay. Then the bay opens into Atlantic Ocean. So
So I'm looking here, and here we have the tank circle here, and looks like all along here
yeah,
is the
so
Salmon River
the blue dot is where he went
running right
missing on the
along.
screen. So the Salmon River, you see the bridge right there. Where are we at here? So you see where the field opens up? You're actually right at the mouth where the map is right now. Just leave it right there. That's where it opens up into the bay. So right there. You can just see it open right up.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah, I see where the Truro Nissan is. It looks like the Salmon River starts to get bigger right about here where this bridge is, where 102 is. And I think when I enlarged it, it says the Fundy Discovery Site right here.
yep, it's probably a kilometer past that, and then
So
it's
that's why I was
called the
wondering if
bay.
this is
It's one of the 7 wonders of Atlantic Canada, I do believe.
got
Or
it.
it has a wave that goes up and down a river, right? So it's pretty different.
A large the last 3 areas were just looking for the last 3 years, searching these areas through
Yeah, the
here.
whole bay right there. Yeah, that's a whole lot of ground to cover, and we did
That
a
is
lot of it.
incredible.
I did a
Well,
lot of it myself. I did a lot with a couple of older guys. I did a lot of it myself.
the biggest issue I have is the only evidence that anyone has ever presented that he was ever in the water is the boots that
Aren't
turns
his
out aren't even his.
exactly. So it's really the cops are gonna have a lot of pressure come Monday when it airs on global news.
Right. And Tandy, I wanted to address your comment. You said, was he outside when he went missing? Yes, apparently he was out in the yard with his grandmother, and she turned her back to tie up a dog. And when she turned back around, Dylan was not there anymore.
So there are some not confused. There are so we hired a private investigator. His name was Dave Worrell. He was
Okay.
36. He was 36 years major crimes Halifax, Nova Scotia. And he dealt with cold cases also. And in W5 News once again with Avery Haynes, the best investigating journalist in Canada. He states that he'd be a little worried about her timeline and story. It doesn't make sense. And he states that right on W5 News. So we do, even his mom, Dylan's mom, has some concerns on that timeline and the whole story. She's also part of a hate group which terrorizes me. So, how can you
Wow.
lose for me, how do you lose my baby and then terrorize me? I don't quite understand it. I'm going to say things online or investigate her, obviously, because I'm told by professionals her story doesn't make sense. So obviously, that anger's there, all that normal stuff,
Sure.
but to terrorize me and like, for an example, just yesterday, she wanted pictures of my new car. It's like, why would you want that? And it's all over this hate group. It's called Private Inquiries and Investigations into Jason Ehler Facebook group.
I've
Wow.
And
seen
it's,
that.
it's probably the most disgusting group you've ever seen in your life. And to actually private investigate anybody, you need, if I had my phone, I'd read it right to you, right? Other than that, it's vigilante and bullying. You need to have a license. You need to have a reason to look into that person. You just can't have private groups investigating and making shit up, right? And then they actually go as far as calling CPS on supporters. If, let's say, for an example, I get a girlfriend and they find out about it, they'll actually search into her to find dirt out on her to push her away. So they'll do everything in their power to push her away. They'll attack her job, or they'll slander her to the point where, you know what I mean? Just anything to push them away, right? It's all the time, but it's like Facebook is allowing this group to continue. It's been 2 years. We're the second people in Canada, Nova Scotia. I think it's all of Canada now, but the cyberbullying legislation of Nova Scotia, reenacted by Rehtaeh Parsons, died by suicide. So we used this legislation with a lawyer for a civil action lawsuit to stop the groups, and we won. We weren't in it for money. They were ordered to shut down the groups and obviously not talk about Dylan or say our names on social media anymore. But then what they did was turn around and they made fake accounts. Well, now you can't do shit about it. So then they made this new group, and it's just been lingering and destroying my life for a long time. Like,
Jason, I have a question. Now, I know that in researching there were some TikToks that Ashley had made that made her look pretty suspicious. Would you like to talk about those at all?
sure. So I didn't know about the TikToks until a few days after his disappearance. Turns out it was a really big trend, and there were thousands of other people doing the exact same ones with their kids in the video. One was a parody from The Tiger King, and the other one was a parody from Frozen. The cops fully investigated it, and they were, as he said on there, they were bizarre TikToks, but they were fully investigated, just posted at a bad time. And the cyberbullying really kicked off then. Then, I remember getting up that morning, she turned on her phone. She had a phone call from somebody saying, you need to delete TikTok. And as soon as she got off the phone started dinging, and you couldn't even do nothing with the phone. It was like a million dings, and it was all off TikTok, and it just blew up.
I can imagine.
And then before you know it, the whole town was, turning against us, and it got crazy. But then it mutated. The cyberbullying mutated it into something completely different. We're actually doing a documentary movie with Muse Entertainment, with two of the biggest movie producers in Canada, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's how crazy this story is. It's quite a different story. It's
I'm so sorry
heartbreaking.
that you're going through this type of harassment. We've
Still
actually
today.
seen it in other cases just like this, and without any evidence that the parents are guilty, they will
But to
dig
go as
into.
far as hacking accounts, calling CPS, and it actually being the same people for almost 4 years straight, that's real different. Like, I mean, stalking too. Like, still today, after 4 years, they try to find me. They watch me. I remember my brother. People were taking pictures through his window, taking pictures of his kids. One morning, he woke up, had major crimes at his door because somebody said that his kid was Dylan. And it got so bad that someone actually took a picture of his newborn baby through a window, sent it to him in the morning, and said, your kid's going to be next.
Oh my
And
God.
then they went from there to hacking friends and families' Facebooks, use it against us. Then from there it was I'd do searches for Dylan, so I'd post events, and people would say they'd go and they'd be in Truro. I'd drive from Moncton, New Brunswick to Truro, do these searches. I would actually show up at some of these places where they needed to drive, and the cops would actually be waiting there wondering why I'm harassing this girl or this guy, to the point where I'd show the officer my messages and I'd have the cops in tears. I'm talking some major crazy stuff, like defamation, slander, fucking stalking, like the movie producer said, it went from cyberbullying and then it mutated into something they've never even seen before. It's actually quite horrific and disgusting.
I'm so sorry. Leon wants to know, was Dylan the type of child to run off if the opportunity came? Did he like the water? Could he reach the water in time?
So he liked water. Most kids do. He would definitely run away from you if he had the chance. He was a very outgoing, full of mischief, always wanted to explore kind of a child.
Sure.
Like he was, Dylan basically went from dragging himself on the floor to walking. Like, it's like he skipped the crawling. He could balance and stand on chairs and let go of the like the legs of the chair. He would actually put one on the ground and he'd stand on the legs and he'd let go and stand up on it. Like his balance was incredible by, that was 2 weeks before his birthday. So he wasn't even 3 yet. So he was a little daredevil. Very happy, all smiles, 100% boy. Loved the dirt, loved to play. I remember, he'd trip and fall and you could tell it would hurt, but he'd get up and he'd shake it off and keep going, right? He's an amazing child.
So what are some things that Dylan enjoyed doing? What was his favorite game, his favorite toy? Did he have a favorite color? What can you
He
tell us
liked,
about Dylan?
he really liked the book that we would read. It was a pop-up book with different farm animals, and he was obsessed with the chicken part. So every time I'd open the little card up or the little pop-up, he'd do his cock-a-doodle-doo and he'd just be all excited, right? He liked
Oh,
Baby Shark. He liked his favorite movie was The Good Dinosaur. He was very into dinosaurs. All around boy. He loved doing outdoor activities, swimming and all that stuff.
he looks like he's such a sweet kid, and I know you must miss him very much. So are you and the mom still working together to try to get answers for Dylan's case?
Unfortunately, no. Me and Ashley finally broke up
Okay.
with having a missing child. It lasted another maybe year and a half, and it broke our whole family apart. I got into this weird, I don't know what it was, but I got into this phase. If you didn't search for my son boots on the ground, get the fuck out of my life. So then I started pushing away family, friends. I pushed away my entire life, and I got obsessed with searching and fighting. I don't think I've taken a day off. I'm always on social media fighting and fighting. I'll bring up the producers again. Apparently my fight is very inspiring. They've never really seen anyone fight as hard as I fought. Like I really got obsessed with fighting and fighting and fighting. And that's, getting them on like Wired Magazine or McLean's Magazine or Nancy Grace, W5 News, the movie. Then it went from I'm going to make a YouTube channel right up to I got almost 3,000 subscribers now.
Well, in my
Then
experience,
I just got obsessed with spreading awareness. It was just it assumed my whole life for 4 years.
absolutely. And in my experience, Jason, the parents of a child that go missing make the best advocates out there. And hopefully your story will not only help bring answers for Dylan, but for other kids out there.
I really hope, and I'm really hoping that I'm showing people strength, to not give up, because everybody has a breaking point also, right? His mom, she went really quiet after the first year. You don't even hear a peep from her. And me, I've just every day, right? So I do believe everybody has their breaking point. And I really hope I'm showing that never to give up, keep going. With me, it might drive you crazy, but I keep going anyway.
That's all that you can do.
He's
Zena,
my
thank
only
you.
child, so if I'm not fighting for him, I don't feel like I have a purpose. Maybe it was the promise I made to him. I told Dylan the day he went missing that I wouldn't work, I wouldn't do anything but 100% Dylan. And I actually did that to the point where I ended up homeless because I wasn't working. I kept searching and searching and fighting to the point where I had nothing. And then I actually had to crawl myself out of nothing and get back on my feet a little bit. It's not living. None of it's living. They say time, it gets easier. No, it doesn't. Not even a little bit. I feel the same as I did May 6th. It's overwhelming. Or maybe I'm just different than everybody else. I don't know.
It never gets easier. I mean, you have that empty seat, especially during the holidays, because you have that empty seat at your dinner table every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, and you just yearn for some real closure. You need to know what happened to your little boy. And I
Yeah.
get it 100%. I absolutely do. And my heart goes out to you so bad because I've talked to families time and time again, many of which are in the chat. Barbara Hall, she lost her son, Timmy.
Yeah, she's right. She's in chat. Barbara, thank you so much for being here. We have a couple of parents in the chat that have lost their children. Christina's here also, and her child is missing.
But
So,
not knowing is like, it's the worst thing in life. It's just, it eats you up. It's crazy.
listen, the mission, your life has become about this. Here's Christina here. No, it doesn't get any easier. And her son hasn't been found either. There's people out here that do understand you and know exactly what you're going through. And we're just here to try to lift you up and give you the support that you need, because
Thank you.
this can't be easy. And I'm so very sorry that you are being ostracized, harassed, threatened. And these groups that you're talking about, this is on Facebook,
Yeah.
so, and we've seen this, Arctic, in other cases where these groups, people on there's YouTube creators, there's people on TikTok, they go after these families and they latch on, and it's pure exploitation. It's all about the clicks and the views and amping
See,
it up.
yeah, it is. I know with this group, it's not even about that. I remember getting messages. They want to destroy my life to the point where I commit suicide. Got many messages like that. It's like they latched on, but they interfere with my whole life. Like, you know what I mean? Like my ex-girlfriend, they started giving her dad's business bad reviews. That affects.
Yeah,
I
I
have
mean, we've
friends,
talked about,
calling CPS. Like it gets to the point where it's like, oh my God, like when does, I could go get a job today and I bet you I wouldn't have it for no more than a minute. They would just keep on calling to the point where it becomes a hassle for me to have that employment because what follows me, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And we've talked about the
Yes.
harassment that these families go through in these cases. And it's only a matter of time before, unfortunately, a family member is going to end up unaliving themselves, I'm afraid, because of the stress that they're put under. And at that point,
Right.
hopefully it doesn't take that, but hopefully at some point, some laws will be put into place to stop the harassment that these families are going through time after time after time, because they're like a dog with a fucking bone and they just can't let go of it.
It's true. And then you try to go to your cops or, your resources like RCMP, and we don't deal with Facebook. Oh, we don't deal with Facebook. Oh, that's a fake account. Well, so just let them continue every day. And I'm talking every day, and then you got to think 18% of all cyberbullying victims commit suicide. So I made a video about it with 18 people in it explaining, about cyberbullying, and it was kind of about what I've been doing. It was inspiring, but when is someone going to take notice and actually help with the cyberbullying or shut it down before one of them family members commits suicide? Is that what it's going to take for them to actually start changing things? Because
Thank you.
I know in my case, it's literally driving me crazy. After 4 years, it just comes to a point where it's like, even if I go off social media, they're still there tainting my name like crazy. Like, and it could be, I killed my son, I'm a drug dealer, I'm a drug addict, I'm an alcoholic, I beat up women, I do this, I do that. You should just see the rumors in that group. 1,000 people in it, and they
Jason,
get
I'm
into other
curious.
people's lives too, right? And it pushes them away. So then before you know it, I'm going to have nobody,
Right.
and then it makes me fight harder. And, I'm pretty proud of myself. I got 1 million views in 28 days on Facebook last month. That shows how hard I'm working to spread awareness and keep it going, right? So they can't take that away from me. So,
Well, so far as I can tell, quite honestly, to be perfectly frank, you're the only one fighting for Dylan. I haven't seen Ashley out there. I haven't seen anyone other than you fighting for your son.
Yeah.
it hurts. I mean, I can get into it. It frustrates the hell out of me. I feel like Oh, it's such mixed feelings. Like, why? It's the same as what you guys are going through. It's why? And that actually drives me crazy too. I know that me and Ashley had our differences. We got into our fights. We actually have a no contact order because of me. 'Cause I got mad and, threatened her. Didn't just empty threats, but we broke up. 2 weeks later, she found a new boyfriend. She was supposed to be on a search on Father's Day, and she wasn't, said she was busy. And then I found out that same night she was hanging out with this other guy. So I got mad, this strange guy in my son's house. He's missing on top of a missing child. It hurt. And I had no right to threaten or bother her, but I broke. I lost my mind, right? 13 years
Well,
together.
and
It's okay.
and parents are going to handle their missing loved one differently. No
Yeah.
one ever. There's no handbook out there for how a parent's going to react when their child goes missing. Like, we have a
No.
case close to me, the Morgan Nick case. She's missing out of Arkansas. She went missing in 1995, and
Wow.
her mother even started a foundation in her daughter's name and everything. You never heard the father talking. He was villainized for years because he never spoke out on it or anything like that. But sometimes there's that stronger parent. Sometimes,
Yeah.
just like with the Adam Walsh case, I'm sure you're familiar with that. John Walsh is the one that always did all the speaking. His wife never talked on Adam because she was just so devastated
Yeah. And people don't seem to, a lot of people don't tend to realize that. They're always like, well, if it was my child, I would do this, this, and this. But then I'm thinking to myself, well, if it was your child, well, you have to go through it to know what it's like. So, I mean, you can sit there and have an opinion, oh, you would do this, this, and this, but you have no idea what you would do. I mean, there's many scenarios that, we're talking a missing child. In my case, a missing 3-year-old. So you can't even stand there and even wonder what you would do because you'd have to go through it.
That's exactly right.
Every reaction's going to be different.
And you don't know what every person's going to react differently. If my
Yeah.
son, who's grown, but if my child was young and he went missing, I can't really say exactly how I would react. I would probably be off the rails. I can't really say exactly what my reaction would be. So I try to give people grace because
Yeah.
we don't really know what that stress is going to be like. Some people are going to be angry. Some people are just going to want to shut down. And maybe they're not equipped to go out there and fight like everybody expects them to do and go out and
No,
do the
'cause
thing because everybody is built differently and they handle stress differently. But it does seem like
you're
that.
in limbo. So, as you're in
Mhm.
limbo, you got to learn to fight at the same time. Like, it's a
Exactly.
lot to, some people, they give it all they have, and some people just go dormant. They don't even want to live no more. Their child's missing. It's a
Well, I
horrible,
wanted
horrible feeling.
right, exactly. Um, the other thing I wanted to ask you really quick, Jason, is last night I was going over TikTok and I happened to see your TikTok page. And I think my moderators have dropped your TikTok because I want people to follow you so they can, stay updated with what you have going on with Dylan's case. But, I want to make sure that people know that when I was perusing TikTok last night, I saw that you posted a video that had to do with filing a civil lawsuit. Can you
Yeah.
talk to me about this TikTok and what that's about?
Am I allowed to have a 5-second break and I'll come right back and explain it? Like, I
Absolutely.
won't leave the video. I just got to leave. Just give me
Yeah,
1 second. Okay.
just
Thanks.
turn your camera off and I'm gonna go over here to the chat. Thank you, chat, so much for allowing Jason a space to be able to unload the things that he has been going through since the disappearance of his son Dylan. And I just think it's really important to allow him to share his thoughts and feelings about what he's been going through. because this has got to be so very difficult. And I just want to thank you guys so much for being here for us to have this very real conversation. And I appreciate you all being respectful. We can agree to disagree, we can all have our own thoughts, but I just ask that you please give him some grace and be respectful in this platform, because families are going through really tough emotional times when their kids are missing, and this is not the time to be attacking them. But I see that everyone is being very supportive. Jason, you have so much support in this chat right now, and we never want to try to judge what the parents, I can't possibly understand what Ashley might be thinking or going through. As a mom myself of a son, I really don't know if she ever would want to come and speak with us about that. I would be happy to offer my platform to let her speak about that if she would ever
Exactly.
do that. But I do appreciate you guys being here and sharing so many wonderful thoughts and prayers and positive feedback that you're supporting Jason in this mission to help, and want him to find his son. And
I
for
need
the
to smoke
harassment
to talk about this one.
It's okay. It's okay. I totally understand.
And I'm in my car because the cyberbullying and stuff's so ridiculous that I don't even want these people to see where I'm at. So
I
it's
understand.
disgusting. And 4 years of it, right? It really gets to you.
You have to do what you feel is best for you, and we are never going to question that, Jason. We just appreciate you so much coming here to talk to us about this.
Definitely.
So Dylan would now be 8
7.
years old. 7.
7.
7.
Yeah.
Okay. And when is his birthday?
April 16th, 2017.
He is such a sweet, sweet kid.
He was born Easter morning at around 8 a.m., something like that. He's an Easter baby.
He has the most precious face, y'all. He has look at that face. Do you think that there's anybody that the police? I've read different reports. I've seen some articles that say that
So,
the police
see,
believe that he drowned, and some
we
people
look
believe
at
he's abducted.
we look at all of that, but none of it is irrelevant no more. The boots aren't his. So everything you're seeing on the news back then, that's all with the boots that were supposedly his. But as of, I think, 6 months ago, with the evidence that the police have, 100% evidence, because I'm going on global news, this is 100% now, the boots aren't his. So everything from the past is nothing no more. So there's no possible drowning because, well, the boots aren't his. So there were no footprints that day. Nothing was ever found of Dylan. But what really makes it odd is, why were those boots in the brook to begin with? And they look so close to the ones that he actually owned. So, did a family member plant the boots? Did a friend plant the boots? Did a stranger plant the boots? How did those boots even get there to begin with? And where are Dylan's actual boots? Where's Dylan? There's just nothing.
Now, I did see a couple of comments that I wanted to ask you. Some people were saying if he went out and actually ended up from, that brook into the Salmon River, that he would have ended up in the bay. And then I saw some people in the chat tonight say that that's not possible, that he would have ended up in the bay. What are
Any
your
of it's
thoughts?
possible. Any of it's possible. So what people don't realize is, with a child, so I never realized it either, but it's true. Bigger objects push smaller objects away. So whatever the boots got caught in, it's not going to be the same as a heavier person floating down the river or the brook, per se.
And I would also be suspicious because of the fact that it would be very hard for water to push boots off of a child. Boots are hard to take off for anyone that's worn them.
Exactly. See, and the whole thing is now the brook is irrelevant now, because there's no evidence of Dylan being in the brook.
Exactly.
The boots aren't his. So the focus needs to be is, how are these? What do you call these boots now? These unknown boots. Why were they there the same day he went missing?
That is
You
very
know, so then
strange.
you gotta look, like, even my lawyer, Allison Harris from Carter Simpson Law, she always had an issue with the boots, and she probably found out by now that they're not even his boots, and she's probably like, holy shit, right? Because she worked with us for years, you know, and it's so there's so many crazy turns in Dylan's story. So there was a guy that decided he was going to help on the day my son disappeared, and it was before search and rescue had even started searching. He brought his dog. It was a hunting dog, and he wanted Dylan's blanket for scent. So, all in shock, I do believe Ashley or her father drove down and grabbed a blanket of Dylan's with his scent, brought it back, gave it to the guy. And in one of the news clips on CTV News, you'll notice that same guy with the dog, I think it was a Doberman Pinscher, searching. He had a bag in his hand, and it appears to be those boots that were originally found of Dylan's by police
I
in
see
his
that.
bag. So there are rumors of that going around. I did see the news clip, and it does look like it, but to actually say 100%, it's almost hard to say 100%. So you can
Yeah.
only have that in the back of your head. But what if he had tossed him in the water? Or, you know, I even thought, like, he was on the search. He contaminated the whole scene because he actually carried that blanket all through the woods with the dog. So it was a complete mess. I think he got fined $1,000 for doing it. But I still have issues with the cops and the times they found the boots, because nobody found the boots, and then all of a sudden 7:30 at night and
Hmm.
7 p.m. to 7:30 at night, all of a sudden the boots were found. Well, how the fuck did you guys even see them? You couldn't see them through the day, but then you can see them at night. So, or I always thought maybe the guy with the dog found the boots and the cops got pissed off and just said, hey, we found the boots. Because if we go back to the police complaint commissioner and my lawyer's notes that I have that I'm saving for my book that I'm writing, I'm not even going to share that stuff. It's right from a recording, so I'm sneaky and I recorded my lawyer's whole conversation. I call it my $6,000 recording, and it's all negligence from the Truro police from the day that of the day of his disappearance and the first 6 days of his search. So all the negligence and protocol, they broke 8 protocol.
And they didn't use trained search canines?
So they had a police dog there, but it was 2 hours late. So I've talked to cops
Wow.
that cops that have canine, and they said those dogs are great within the first 30 minutes of a person's disappearance. They're going to chase down the skin cells, the millions of skin cells that fall on the ground, or particles. You know, and after 30 minutes, you know, we're getting into 40 minutes, 50 minutes, the dog's probably not going to find anything. You know, and the cops tried to argue they're the same as search and rescue dogs, and you can't train 2 dogs for 2 different things and all this. But then we met Nova Scotia Canine Search and Rescue, and they had human remains dogs and search and rescue
Mhm.
dogs.
Yeah, like scent dogs
And
and
Dylan's
tap
story
dogs.
gets crazier because I went on a search with Nova Scotia Canine Search and Rescue with their dogs. The cops didn't know I went on it, and they all didn't know I recorded the whole day, video recorded it. And so we're on the search. I'm videoing parts of the search here and there. And then all of a sudden the dog gets a hit in the water in Salmon River. And I can share the video with you. I think the world should really see the video and wonder why the cops neglected to search it. So Nova Scotia Canine Search and Rescue had, her name was Gem. It was a human remains dog, cadaver dog. And that dog got a hit in the water, and that dog was obsessed with something in the water for at least 3 to 5 minutes. I recorded the whole thing, like obsessed with it. The dog went back 2 or 3 different times, did all the right signals. The dog handler called in the coordinates to the Truro police, and the Truro police didn't actually search that hit in the water until, we'll say, the next day. They were doing another they called it a training exercise, but it was for Dylan. It was just a free way to search because it costs money. For a lot of people don't realize that it all costs money. Anyway, the next day we run into the lead investigator, Corporal Emery, and me and Ashley were being nosy. We just randomly showed up. We seen him. We asked, did you check the hit in the water? He's like, no, but I'm going there right now. And right away I said, it's tidal influenced. Why wouldn't you have checked it at 1:30 p.m. when the hit was made, right? So he's like, I'm going to go check it now. So we follow him because we're not stupid. We were already thinking they screwed up. So we followed them and they didn't know we followed. And the lead investigator actually walks out to the river, stands up on the dike, looks in the water for a few minutes, and then actually just drives off. So right away, I'm thinking, well, where's search and rescue? Because that's not a cop's job to search a hit in the water, for starters. So, I kept that in the back of my head. We went in for a meeting. They said they searched. Nothing was there, and they just kind of shut us out and tell us to shut up, basically. But then 2 years later, with all this in the back of my head that they neglected a hit in the water, 2 years later, we fight them in court. And I actually present that video in court with the panel members. And it shocked everybody. And the look on the deputy chief's face when I showed the recording, he was just like, oh my God. Then my lawyer said, oh, they're bringing up Tom to the stand. He's head of Colchester Search and Rescue. He was in charge of the day or the whole week search. And then my lawyer mentioned they're actually taking him to a back room to prep him now. Because I think I shocked everybody with the video. So the search and rescue.
Do you have that video? Or are we
Oh,
able?
yeah. Yes.
Where can I find it? Would you like for me to show that video?
Yes. If you go into my TikTok videos and you scroll halfway down, you're gonna see the dog in a river, and it's gonna show 178,000 views, almost 200,000 views on it. And it really should be shown, and then we'll get into it. So in the board, so Tom, head of Colchester Search and Rescue, Tom Fitzpatrick or Tom Fitzgerald, he testifies, and he says that it was a dog named Rifle and a dog handler named Kathy, and the dog gave the wrong signs. And Tom even said he wasn't there that day. And I didn't present every video I had or all the pictures. I just presented that one particular video. So I feel stupid, didn't realize they would lie about it. And then I couldn't present more evidence against it. So they said it was Kathy and Rifle, and the dog gave the wrong signs, but it wasn't Kathy and Rifle. I have a video of Kathy and Rifle on the right side of the river, up ahead, because two dogs can't search side by side. That's not how it works. They distract each other. And I actually it was a male dog handler and a dog named Jem that got the hit in the water. So they actually went as far as lying about the whole day, saying the dog gave the wrong signs, different dog handler, different dog, and Tom wasn't there that day. But I actually have pictures of Tom being there that day. But then at the end of that day, Tom comes out and says, I lost all respect to the chief, first time hearing that story after his cross-examination. So I really got confused after the hearing. And then I get an email from another lawyer for a second opinion on possibly appealing their decision with the police complaint commissioner, because they said the Truro police did everything in their power and they did a good job and all this stuff, which is bullshit. So I get a second opinion a few days before I had to appeal. And this lawyer says, is your lawyer aware of error of law? So now there's error of law at the police complaint commissioner. Example of error of law, they didn't bring in Dorothy Parsons as a witness, the one that lost him. They didn't bring in a professional for fingerprinting, and et cetera, et cetera. Those are error of law. Certain people were not attending the hearing and they had to be there. So, and then I find out from the same guy, Tom, that the deputy chief lost respect of the chief and he's retiring. he said first time hearing that story also. So it sounds like, well, you could tell if everybody was there, you'd all hear the deputy or the actual chief. He completely lied about his whereabouts, where he was that day and everything. He just completely lied, and his hand's on the fucking Bible. And then they lie about the hit in the water, and their hands are on the Bible. Like, I have the evidence. So me and the movie team, I can't even talk about the movie, so we want to get into that. But we have the recordings, and we have proof that they lied about it, and hopefully one day it can be revealed, and maybe they'll dig that spot up, because it could be Dylan. It could be the young man that's been missing in Truro for 30 years. It could be the murder victim that was possibly dumped in the Salmon River near the opening of North River. And that was around the same spot the dog got the hit. So, and then, you start to overthink, why don't the cops want to dig a spot in the river? Then you got to think way back in the day, the town was run by the Hells Angels. Maybe the cops did something for them and they don't want something brought up. I've overthought every possibility why they won't go look. And I won't go look because I don't want to fuck anything up.
Well, can I ask you a couple questions real quick? So, yeah. Jason, since the grandmother... I did. So since the grandmother was the last person to see him, did the cops talk to her? Did she take a polygraph? What can you tell me as far as that goes?
She took a polygraph test. It was inconclusive.
Okay.
Me and her daughter, Dylan's mom, tried to press charges on her for neglect. The Crown prosecutor would not let that happen. Okay. There was probably grounds for it, but the Crown came back with what were the exact words? The grandmother has to live for the rest of her life with the fact that she lost her grandchild, and that's enough of a punishment for her. And I always said, well, what the fuck? What about Dylan? Like, who cares about how she feels right at the moment? But
I can understand that, which that brings me to what I had asked you about with your TikTok that I saw last night. That you made. Would you like me to play that one also?
Sure, if you want.
Okay, because that was one of the questions that I had. So I'm going to play the one that you put up last night,
and then I'll explain
that one first, and then you can tell us a little bit about that, and then I'm going to jump over and I'm going to play the other video, so we can take a look at that.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to take a look at this first video. All right, so here we are on your TikTok, and this one you've got 52,000 views on this upload.
Wow, yeah, I noticed I had 40,000. It was kind of a shock. I didn't realize. Sometimes they just take right off.
So you guys, we're going to watch this quick video, and I want you to make sure that you listen to what Jason says on this TikTok, and then we're going to talk about that really quick, and then we'll watch another one of the videos. I do appreciate y'all being here, and I see that a lot of you have some questions and things, and we will try to get all of your questions answered. I do appreciate you guys being so very patient. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's take a look at your video.
I just got off the phone with Tim Murphy Law.
Let's see.
They gave me a phone number of a different lawyer. They're going to call me back. I'm pursuing a civil action lawsuit against Dorothy Parsons for the neglect and loss.
Sound was good.
Well, I think I'm going to have to switch it. Hang on a second. I'm going to have to switch it. It's on the wrong thing. There we go. Okay.
Number of a different lawyer.
Let's see if I can get it back to, let me go back and start it over now. Here we go.
Tim Murphy Law. They gave me a phone number of a different lawyer. They're going to call me back. I'm pursuing a civil action lawsuit against Dorothy Parsons for the neglect and loss of my child and the continuing cyberbullying, slander, and defamation on a hate group that she continues to be part of. I am done. This is happening. I just got off the phone with Tim Murphy Law. They gave me a phone number of a different lawyer. They're going to call me back. I'm pursuing a civil action lawsuit against Dorothy Parsons for the neglect and loss of my child and the continuing cyberbullying, slander, and defamation on a hate group that she continues to be part of. I am done. This is
Okay. So talk to us. Talk to us about this.
Ever since my son went missing, Dorothy has had this vendetta on me. I remember putting out posters one day and she would give me the finger out her window. I remember when we first showed up on scene, she told my mom to get the fuck off her property. It's none of her concern. It's her missing grandchild. Of course it's her concern. And then after me and Ashley broke up, she would blame my brother for Dylan's disappearance. She would act weird. Her story has changed so many times that it's even hard to believe the cops let it change so many times. There's actually, from the police complaint hearing, there's inconsistencies with her timeline. She has 2 or 3 different stories from 2 or 3 different notebooks with police officers. So ever since he went missing, she's just been obsessed with kind of destroying me. Now she's on a hate group that I was talking about with private inquiries and investigations into Jason Eller. And she's like, it's almost like she's one of the ringleaders of it. The other day, what brought up that video per se is I got a new car. It was gifted to me by a friend. A really nice car. I inspired him. My fight inspired him. You know, I changed his life a little bit with my fight, all this stuff. He gave me a car. And then right away, she wanted to know what my car looked like and all of this stuff. So she made a post on the hate group and people started sending her pictures of my car. So it's like, why do you want pictures of my car? Like, are you going to hurt me or are you going to like destroy my car? Or like, should I be worried about that? But it's not only that, it's like she tries to convince people that I made Dylan disappear. And it's almost like she's trying to push the blame onto me. So the focus isn't on her, but I wasn't even there that day. You actually lost Dylan. So why are you treating me like this? Like, how can a grandmother lose my baby? And then after losing my baby and you fucked up my whole life, my parents' life, you know, everybody in his circle's life. And then you can turn around and cyberbully me and harass me and help taint my name. How does one go about doing all that? You know, I understand I get mad and I may say things about her or investigate her. But sorry, but she's the platform of the story. Now that the boots aren't his, you identified them wrong. You're the one that bought them for his birthday, and you identified them completely wrong. What am I supposed to do? Not investigate and get the public's help? Because since he went missing, I always felt in my gut that she's lying about something, and I have the right to think that because of everything that I've been shown. You know, but to go in a hate group all about destroying my name and go with it, how heartless are you? You know what I mean? Like, so I'm getting to the point where I'm going to file this action lawsuit if I can afford it. Maybe I can get pro bono, or maybe even the movie team will help. I don't know. I'm at the point where she needs to be dealt with. She needs charges. She needs to be questioned. There's just something about that woman that drives me crazy. And I think almost the whole friggin' world could agree with me that something ain't right about her.
Well, someone asked in the chat, did she ever have any anger issues, or how was she with Dylan prior to this? Was she a good person? Was she a good grandmother?
No, I never liked her. I never liked her in my whole entire life. She was an alcoholic. She was an alcoholic because of the past, about what she did to her own children, which I'm not going to get into. I made a video and pissed everybody off already about that. But a very disgusting story and very heartbreaking story. And she's a monster. And, you know, her daughter, you know, she was young at the time, you know, forgave, you know, it's her mom. So I don't know what that's like. So People forgive.
Well,
I
and to be fair, a person can be an alcoholic, recover, and do better with their life, but that doesn't sound like what's happened here.
No, she turned her back on something in the past. So we'll leave it at that. But I have my own hate on her. I never cared for her. She's a horrible mom. She quit drinking. Ashley was trusting her. Dylan was going over there. Dylan was 95% of the time was going with his half sister. I'm not going to bring up her name because she doesn't need to be bothered by anybody, because she was 12 years old at the time of her brother's disappearance, and I'm just not bringing up her name. But she was always there with him. So this particular day, she was at her father's that day. So Dylan went to his grandmother's by himself. But I remember May 4th, 2020, I told the grandmother that due to COVID-19, I didn't want my son there. Didn't want him at your house because I didn't like her anyway. But, that's me being me. I didn't want him there. And then I told his mom the same thing through my sister, obviously, because of the no contact order. They both agreed that, okay, we'll not have Dylan there. So I thought anyway, but then when he was missing and I walked into it, he was at the grandmother's. So I have that anger towards why he was there to begin with. But it's not my place at the same time, because his mom's allowed to do what she wants, right? I can't control what they do, but I still have that anger.
Well, I did see
Just the grandmother. The grandmother's hateful. She used to come to our marches, and she wasn't invited to them, but she would take our posters, and she literally, I don't even think she's put out a poster in her life. She's just not been helping.
I saw someone in chat, I believe it was the Golden Girl, says that the grandmother hadn't drank in years. She is a recovered alcoholic, and that's not fair.
Sure, she's a recovering alcoholic, but why don't we ask the grandmother what brought her to be that alcoholic? And then once you find out the answer to that, come back and see if you still like the grandmother. Because I $100, I bet my bottom dollar you'd hate her guts.
We appreciate your comment.
It's disgusting. Disgusting what she had done.
Carrie wants to know if there's other grandchildren that she cares for sometimes.
No, a lot of the family. I think Ashley's sister sometimes had her kids over, but she had Dorothy's other daughter moved away because she couldn't face her mom no more for life. Probably because of the past, which I can't get into.
Well, and you don't need
her kids didn't like her. Her kids didn't like her too much. They would and they wouldn't. They would and they wouldn't. You know what I mean? It's major trauma back in the past.
I understand. And who actually bought the boots for Dylan? Did you buy the boots, or did the grandmother buy those boots that were missing?
I didn't buy them. So the grandmother bought them 2 weeks prior to his disappearance. On his birthday, April 16th, 2024.
Wow,
that's 2020. April 16th, 2020. Sorry. Yeah, that's when they would have been bought. April 16th, 2020. Something like that.
Wow, so we only had them for 2 weeks. Okay,
yeah,
that is very interesting. So this other video that we have pulled up here, which one is the video that you would like for us to see? I see you have one with 216,000 views here.
The one just down from CTV News, Note in a Bottle, which was a very interesting. You guys should play that too. It's actually very interesting. But
okay, so is that right underneath it?
Yeah, the dog. Yeah,
the dog. Yep. Okay, all right. So we will play this one.
This is the one that the cops neglected. Can you make it bigger?
It's about as big as I can make it.
Oh, I can see it. You can see the dog digging. That's the human remains dog.
Wow.
It keeps going. Even when the music stops, it's still one video is still going. So it's still going. It's pretty concerning, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say that he's definitely hitting on something right there.
That was his second time back to that area after his trainer called him back. I have the other video, but that's good enough to prove my point that, and why didn't the cops properly search that? Why didn't they get a backhoe or something to dig it up? Why didn't they send search and rescue back to dig it up or do their job? And then they lie about it. And they said that, so they said at the police complaint hearing that that dog gave the wrong signs. What I hope dog handlers are watching this video right now, and you tell me how that even makes sense. That is a hit and a half right there. Human remains dogs don't make mistakes. Like the dog trainer said, it was either a bottle of piss or a human body, and obviously it's not a bottle of piss.
Yeah, I do believe that is a definite hit, and it really concerns me that they didn't go out there and
I am still trying today to find some professionals to look into that for me. I know the exact area, but I will not do it myself. I don't want to fuck it up. And then before you know it, I'm interfering with the police investigation all of a sudden. I go dig that up and the cops will be right up my ass. Like, I got so alienated about that video that the cops put a no contact order on me with the whole Truro police station. I'm legally not allowed to talk to the Truro police because I got mad about this video. So all of a sudden I'm harassing dispatch, but they wouldn't properly talk to me. They just shut me out.
wow.
They actually got so mad at me one day that my private investigator had a meeting all organized and agreed on with the cops, and then was abruptly canceled due to me because apparently misinformation about my son and misinformation about the police, which it wasn't, but they didn't like the fact that I was destroying them on Facebook with their mistakes. And they actually canceled the meeting with the private investigator. And I remember making my police complaint. You go into the office and you fill out a form and you send it off. The chief called me that day, the same day I sent in my complaint, and said that, "Oh, I see you made a complaint against us." He's like, "You're not to talk to the lead investigator. You're to get one email a week, and you're not allowed to any of our meetings no more." So I was actually had to sit out the last few meetings while his mom and other family members went on my behalf because I wasn't allowed.
Right. Justice Jane, I think you came in late. Yes, the Google articles don't say that they're not his boots, but if you were here at the beginning of the live stream, Jason, Dylan's father, did explain to us that has all changed, and they realize that the boots that were found are actually not the same boots that belong to Dylan.
If you are on Global News, I'm pretty sure I'm doing my interview Monday or Tuesday, so
Okay.
it's going to be either Monday or Tuesday. It's going to be on Global News, that update, so it's a real update. This is all changing. The boots aren't his.
Well, we will definitely be sure to share that out. Is there another video that you want us to share off of your
Something
TikTok
that
that
was
you think is important?
I don't think it's important. It was more of a bittersweet story. It made CTV News. It made more attention for him, I guess. But
Okay.
I found a note in a bottle, and it was kind of inspiring.
Okay. Well,
You
let's
can
watch.
play it. You can play it if you want.
Sure.
Eller, the Truro man who's been searching for his missing son Dylan for 3 years now, came across a letter in a bottle along a riverbank. That letter was written by a child almost 40 years ago, and today the two men met face to face. CTV's Hafsa Arif has the story.
Jason Eller has been looking for his son Dylan almost every day since he went missing nearly 3 years ago. He presumably drowned in the Salmon River. He's never been found. While searching for clues of his whereabouts, Ehler stumbled upon something he wasn't expecting.
Just a bottle with a note in it. So I decided to try to open it. I couldn't open it, so I had to break the glass. And it was a note from 38 years ago.
The letter read,
My name is Greg Brightman.
I'm 11 years old. Would you please send a letter back? Should you find it?
Greg Brightman, now 50 years old, is reunited with the letter he wrote when he was 11.
Complete shock. And I knew it as soon as I saw it on YouTube. I knew it was my writing. It was amazing. Couldn't believe it.
Something he never thought would happen.
I thought about it quite frequently. But I never expected to get anything back. Never.
For Ehler, this reunion is bittersweet.
You know, it's nice to get out on a search and find something that's, you know, a little bit of joy and bring someone some happiness and make you feel good instead of the life I'm used to, I guess.
Ehler's son vanished without a trace from his grandmother's backyard. Police believe Dylan fell into a stream and was swept away. The only evidence found were his rain boots. Every passing moment since then has been excruciatingly painful for the grieving father.
His birthday is coming up, April 16th, and it's a tough go without answers.
Ehler holds many memories of Dylan close to his heart.
We'd go through them and he'd make sounds, but when he got to the chicken, that was his favorite, and he'd do his cock-a-doodle-doo, and it was one of my favorite moments. I'll never forget. I miss his voice. I miss everything about him.
It's a unique find on the shoreline, not what he was looking for, but happy he did. Greg Brightman hopes to pass the frame letter down to his daughter. As for Jason Ehler, the search for answers for his missing son Dylan continues. He's asking anyone looking to help to join the search. Bruce?
All right, thank you for that, Hobson.
It was a little different, but it was
Scotia man, Jason Ehler, the Truro.
Okay, let me pause that and we'll get back over here. That was, oh my gosh.
a very rare thing.
Yes. Esther, I think you accidentally got whacked by one of the mods, and I just want to tell you that I'm sorry. Please come back, Esther. Hopefully I tried to reset it so you can come back. So please type in the chat and let me know if you're able to come back. Listen, guys,
there is an age progression of Dylan. There is another news clip on YouTube or on TikTok. But there is a age progression that OPP did, Ontario Police, between what he would look like between 5 and 6 years old.
Okay, is that the one with the flyer that has the drawing?
No, it would show that news guy again.
Okay.
You have to scroll down further.
The one from November the 4th?
Could be.
November 4th, 2022?
It could be.
Okay.
We can always try. I think it's important to get his poster out, his age progression. See.
And what is the current reward for any information that leads to
$20,000?
$20,000. Okay. All right. Let me see if this video is in. I'm gonna look before I share my screen to see if this is it. Want to go forward to see if I can see if it's on this video.
Could be a guy on it. Yeah.
I'm gonna share my screen. I want you to tell me if this is it. Is this the one right here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We'll find it in a second.
All right, let's play this and we'll see. Let's see if I can take it back to the beginning. There
They push for will help locate their son.
Yeah, this is it.
Has been missing for 2.5 years. A new sketch imagining how he might have matured is being circulated to reignite the search. CTV's John McGinnis has our top story.
The sketches are difficult for Dylan Ehler's mother to look at.
It just hurts. It hurts to look at them, to think that he's still out there and not with us.
These age progression drawings depict what Dylan Ehler might look like today as a 5 to 6-year-old. Ehler disappeared in May of 2020. Investigators believe he fell into a stream behind his grandmother's house. Searchers found his boots in the water, but nothing more.
Boots are irrelevant now.
The chance their son is somehow still alive.
Every day, there's no evidence. There's no proof of him going into that water other than boots. So it's you can't assume anything in a case like this.
The renderings were completed by an artist with the Ontario Provincial Police. The Truro Police Service shared them on social media last week.
If he is out there, then hopefully the person that has him will bring him home, or we will get some sightings and hopefully we can find him.
Dylan's mother, Ashley, has a similar plea.
If you see these and you think that you recognize this little boy, then call your local police department, call Crime Stoppers, call the Truro Police, just call all of the authorities, report it, give them as much information as you can.
To help with an investigation of a missing boy that is still active. Investigators have stated they do not believe foul play was involved in Dylan's disappearance, and no one from the Truro Police Service responded to our request for an interview today. Todd.
Thank you for that, John. CTV's Jonathan McGinnis.
Yeah, they'll never do the news. It's. I hope they're on there this week on Global News, because they really got to do some explaining on these boots.
Now I want to ask you something, Jason. As I was doing some research into this case, I know that you guys have grappled with every possible theory for his disappearance, that maybe he was kidnapped by a stranger or even someone close to y'all. Maybe that his grandmother was part of some kind of bigger nefarious scheme. I know that there was someone seen carrying a large duffel bag to another house on Elizabeth Street that had a hole that had been dug in the backyard. Is that true?
Yeah, a lot of that. The hole in the backyard was Ashley's father's discovery. He was fighting that. It actually goes as far as search and rescue. Tom Fitzgerald again, actually, head of Colchester Search and Rescue. He noticed a guy wet from the waist down, with a buzz cut, reddish beard, taller, in his 6 feet, maybe a little taller. And he actually told the police about it, right? It was within the few hours of his disappearance. Well, within the first 6 hours anyway. Okay. And so that information never got relayed to his lead investigator. So 3 months later, we're told by Search and Rescue this. And I ask my lead investigator about it. He's like, well, I'm going to call Tom about that. Never heard that one before. And he calls me back. He's like, yeah, we discussed it. It was probably just a good Samaritan fell in a sinkhole. So that's the gist of that.
Okay.
I've had ransoms also. I spoke about it.
That was my next question. Was I saw that psychics had told you guys where to look for Dylan, and that you had received ransom notes where people were claiming to have him, demanding $10,000 to $12,000 or 3 Bitcoins. And listen, this is a trigger warning right here, guys, in the chat. Trigger warning. Is it true that they sent you notes threatening to beat your son, throw him out of a moving car, and that one note actually included pictures of bloodied and battered women saying that Dylan would be next?
Yeah. I even had phone calls.
Jason, that's terrible.
I had one that actually called me. Sound foreign, wanted money. It actually got to the point where the cop was actually talking to him, but they could never figure out who it was. And it's real until it's not real. So it's very emotional, scary. Nancy Grace, we all know Nancy Grace, crime shows, Fox Nation.
Oh,
Fox
yes,
TV.
we are very familiar.
We all know Nancy Grace. So her U.S. Marshal stated that actually ransoms are only in the movies, they do not happen in the United States, especially Canada. He's like sometimes overseas, but very, 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 very rare, more of a in the movies type deal. And for you to get 7 or 8 of them, he's like just blew my mind. And this guy even wrote a book. I can't think of his name. He wrote a book. 36, 37 years, U.S. Marshal with Missing Children's Unit or whatever, right? So very experienced guy, and he's like just wow.
True
And
Crime Cafe with Dago wants to know if Dorothy came up with a newly found sum of money after Dylan disappeared.
so all I know is I don't think she came. I have no idea. I don't have her bank records, but as far as I know, she had her roof done. So I mean she doesn't own the house. Her husband's parents own the house.
Okay.
And actually, what I forgot to mention is he came home for lunch the day of my son's disappearance. So Jeff Parsons came home for lunch at around 12 o'clock and left probably 15 minutes, 10 to 1 p.m. And then Dylan actually went missing 12 minutes after that. So
wow.
they're the last known people to see him before he went missing. So it'd be Jeff Parsons, Dorothy Parsons, and obviously Ashley. His mom dropped him off that day.
Now, where was the granddad at the time that all of this took place?
Ashley's father?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I know that Dorothy called Norman Brown first when he disappeared, before even the police. Called Norman Brown, all scared.
Who is Norman Brown?
Ashley's father.
Okay.
And I know that Ashley's father was there when I showed up. So he was already there before I discovered he was missing. And then Ashley didn't discover he was missing until probably an hour after I discovered it, because she was at a friend's house. And I actually had to argue with the police officer for her father to go get her, because they wouldn't let me due to shock. Probably wouldn't let anybody due to shock, but I pushed so goddamn hard that go get his mother, basically. Like, we're doing this, or I'm going to fucking jail because we're doing this. She needs to be here. Her son's missing. She needs to know. And so he went down and picked her up because I had broken her phone in that fight. She bought a new phone, but she only had Text Now. So Text Now is an app, and you need internet to use the phone. So where her friend was at, they didn't have internet, so no way to communicate with her. So her father went down, picked her up, and then told her on the way home that her son was missing.
Okay. And so,
and it's very different. Let me get into this a little bit, see what you guys think, the audience thinks. So Ashley gets to her mom's, find out that Dylan disappeared. That night, I watched Ashley Brown cry herself to sleep. I don't think Ashley has anything to do with anything. Even having the mistake with the boots, under shock, pressure. I mean, people make mistakes. It's a big mistake, but I still deeply believe she's got nothing to do with it. But that night, after Ashley fell asleep, I remember the grandmother playing a video game all night long because I didn't sleep. I actually stared out the window all night long. I think at 2:30, I went out and searched because I wasn't allowed to, but I did anyway. And then I went out for like 20 minutes, and the cops seen me and drugged me back, basically. And she was still playing the game on Facebook. So I always wondered, always stuck in my head, how can you focus on a game when you just lost your grandchild? How is that even possible, right? I'll never understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should ask some counselors that same question, right? Like, that's it. How do you concentrate on a game? But what do I know, right? There's something about her, and I'll say it on every podcast. There's just something about her story. And like I said, 36 years, major crimes, Dave Worrell, our private investigator, states in W5 News with Avery Haynes the same thing. I'd be a little worried about her story, and her timeline does not make sense. So there's always that stuck in my brain.
Now, this area where the brook is the grandmother's yard where she was at with the dog, is that fenced in away from the brook that leads to the Salmon River? Is there anything that, or is it just an open backyard?
It's almost completely fenced in. There's a gap in the fence on the side where the road is, and there's a gap where the driveway is, obviously. So there's only two ways that boy could have went. He could have made it through the gap in the fence or headed towards the street, Queen Street. And like my private investigator, Dave Worrell, said, retired cop, the Truro police didn't even entertain the fact that the child could have ran to the street. So they didn't canvass Queen Street. They didn't approach people and ask if they seen Dylan. Can they check their house? Do they got cameras? They actually didn't entertain the street whatsoever. And this Dorothy's house is on the corner of Queen Street and Elizabeth Street. So there's at least 27 houses on Queen Street that the cops never even approached. So Dave Worrell said it could have been a manpower thing. He stated, when all you do is knock on doors, and that's all you do is knock on doors, you could do it for 6 hours. You knock on doors and you get information. That's what cops do. And everyone that they approached with his team were never approached by police. So, like I said, a lot of negligence with the police. Like my lawyer said, the day he went missing, it was like all they did was drive around. They actually were not looking for Dylan. They just drove around. They didn't
And when they found
do
the
anything. They didn't block the traffic. They didn't block people from interfering with the crime scene, the area Dylan went missing. So everybody was just trampling through, and it was a mess. Right. It's all on. If you watch W5 News, it explains everything. It's called the bizarre disappearance of a 3-year-old toddler. Where's Dylan? W5 News. Their very first hour episode they ever did, was for Dylan.
Now, were there any cameras in the neighborhood? They did not canvass the neighborhood, but did anybody have any cameras or doorbell?
No, because I seem to be smart. We came up with the idea of questionnaires. So we filled out a shit ton we made questionnaires. And one of the questions would be, do you have a door cam? Do you have any cameras around the house? Did search and rescue approach you? Did the cops approach you? Did you see Dylan? And all these questions were on the questionnaire, same with their address and signature. So Ashley, I can't remember if she was stressed or not, but I went and did it myself. And I went to 28 places, and not one of them were approached by police and asked any of that. So I got it all anyway. And then me and my big mouth, I told the deputy chief. And then right away, the deputy chief took them from me. He's like, we need them right now. And then he photocopied them and gave me the originals back. Still don't know why he needed them, but.
Okay, and so Dorothy has a husband that is the stepdad to Ashley. His name is Jeff. Were they close to the police at all? True Crime Cafe with Jago asks.
Were they close to the police? Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And where was Dorothy's husband, Jeff, at the time when all of this took place?
He was on break for lunch, and then he went back to work at 1 o'clock for 1 o'clock. He lives about 5 minutes away, so.
And what time of day did all this take place on the 6th with Dylan going missing?
Dylan was reported missing at around 1:15 p.m.
And do the police believe that he drowned? Is that what they told you they believe happened to him?
They believe that because of the boots that were found. But
and now the boots are a non-fact.
4.5 years later, basically, the boots were identified wrong. So now it's a completely different game. It's a game changer. It completely changes everything. So the big question is now, whose boots were found in the brook and why were they there to begin with? So I talked to another retired cop, Gillis Blinn, and like he said, he's like, it almost seems like the grandmother needs to account for 2 pairs of boots now. Because there's 2 pairs of boots now. So where's Dylan's boots that he had on? But whose boots were in the brook? Where'd they come from? Were they planted? Where did they come from? Why are they there? Why were they there?
And you've never found his original boots, is that correct?
As of right now, yes, that's correct. Like I said, I'm going on Global News to make that update to the world this week. It's a bizarre case, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I do understand that as of 2022 in January, that marked the 100th search organized by you and Ashley. But
No. I don't know where that came from. 100 searches? Oh, way more than
that was
that.
from the National Post that you guys had marked like 100 different searches, big and small, that you guys had actually done on your own.
No, it's way more than that. I don't know where they got the number from.
That was just in 2022. So,
Yeah.
you know, so I don't
No,
know.
I don't even keep track of my searches, so I don't know where they got the number from.
I don't know.
I can tell you, let's say 2 to 3 searches a week for almost 4 years. It's a lot of searches. So if we were to say in 1 year, it'd be fucking thousands of searches. Well, there's 380, there's 300 and some days in a year, so
right,
it'd be damn near close to every day. Be, I guess, 100, 150, almost 200. That's all I did. That's all I did was search.
That is a lot. And you said that you also had marches as well. Tell us about that.
We marched against the police, organized by me. Obviously Ashley helped organize them, but they always said organized by Jason. It's like anything to do with the cops, it seemed like they were going to throw me into it. But we marched. One of the marches got out of control. We all ended up in the Truro police lobby. It's on the news also. It got really bad. You know, we're all screaming, "We want help! We want help!" Banging on their windows. It got really bad. Oh yeah.
It sounds like that was
Because we're all realizing all these mistakes, and they don't want to admit to them. They don't want to admit to their mistakes, and it's pissing people off.
Sure. Jenna Jean says, did they investigate the grandparents' phones and their digital footprint?
I think they did with the grandmother, but not the step Jeff Parsons. They did a horrible job. Okay, here. This is one from my lawyer that most of you probably never heard. So, breaking protocol. Here's a different one for you. So, on the day of my son's disappearance, the Truro police were called in on a possible tip at a superstore in Truro, Nova Scotia. So, the Truro police went over to look at the footage from the superstore. The manager clerk comes out, said, "I just reviewed the video. It's not Dylan." The cop, I'm not even going to say the cop's name, but I know it. They said, "Okay, that's fine," and they left. They actually went off the clerk, and they actually did not look themselves. It's like, well, what's the point in a cop? Like, how are you even going to let a manager look at a video and identify that it wasn't Dylan when that's the cop's job? They're not professionalized, and you know what I mean? Like, what? That's true stuff. This actually happened, and they get away with it. Like, I mean, if you actually really look deep, the mass shooting, it was, I think, the RCMP's biggest fuck up in Canada history, where Justin Trudeau actually had to fly down and lecture them. It was so bad and disgusting. And
oh my God.
Then my son went missing, and it was even on the news that the Truro police were sending threatening emails to the RCMP just across the bridge in Bible Hill. So these cops weren't even getting along when my son went missing. And what separates the RCMP from the Truro police is this tiny little bridge. They're probably within 5 kilometers of one another. And the RCMP had control of one side of the river. So if they're not getting along, you got some friction there. Like, this, go look on the news. This all happened.
Right. I did see in February of 2023, the Nova Scotia Police Review Board held hearings to address y'all's complaints that the investigation was mismanaged, and things like that. And
But then you got to remember the mass shooting also. That was even a bigger shit show. So I'm just saying, all these police officers, just the same issue. They never send out an alert when the mass shooter was killing people. They actually waited until the next day to send out an alert. And already 10 people were probably killed by then. All night he was killing people, and they never alerted anybody until late the next day. Just an example, family members were getting body parts back in their vehicles from the cops. There were cops wearing the blue line badge. That's against the law now. That strip.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? That strip. There's a big meaning behind that. That means someone fucked up and they're going to back them up, kind of thing. It's like a little gang symbol. It's the blue line. Cops are not allowed to wear it no more. If you watch news footage from the mass shooting and officers, they were all wearing it, all fucking covering up. And they had, top, cops from Halifax retiring, like the big guys. Like, it was a mess, total mess. It was so bad that there was a Truro police officer shooting at an RCMP officer thinking it was Gabriel Wardman.
Wow.
They weren't communicating.
Now, I heard about this 3-person board that they heard testimony about the search for Dylan, and it says here that they had 6 days of searching, 18 hours of aerial surveillance in unusually high and dangerous conditions of the Leper Brook that spring day in May. Does that sound accurate to you, or?
It's accurate, but it's... See, I always go back to the police complaint commissioner. The day Dylan went missing, it says right on my disclosure. I should share it one day if I was legally allowed to, but on the disclosure, it says the RCMP dive team would not dive in the brook because the conditions were too dangerous.
Right.
But then you see a police officer with his canine in the water searching. Now, explain that one to me.
Well, frankly, nothing out of Canada surprises me. I covered a case of 3 missing Native American women, and they were told they are very much believed to be in this landfill, and they were told by the RCMP that they wouldn't search the landfill because it was too dangerous.
Yeah, how does a dive team not dive in a brook? Like, are you really, is this really saying this on the paperwork right now? Like, it just angers me. It's like, they're screw ups. So with the screw ups, they gotta counteract with their, man, if people only realize you gotta deal with a missing child, you gotta deal with fighting for him, but then you gotta live with all the fuck ups that the government don't want to let out for lawsuit reasons or whatnot. So, on top of the missing child, the cyberbullying, all that, I got to think back the people I put all my trust into. I fucking hate, to the point where I overthink it. I'm like, what was so bad? What happened that was so bad in my son's investigation that the deputy chief retired? How bad did you guys actually fuck up that I don't even know about? You know what I mean? Like, how bad was this? Like my lawyer said, Dylan would have been found if, in fact, they did their job proper. Nobody was looking for Dylan that whole fucking day. That's the problem.
Now, I have another question. I saw that, I think it was around October 2023, that you had documented one of your searches along the banks of the Salmon River, and you actually pulled out a pair of camo pants that resembled the ones that Dylan was wearing the day that he disappeared. Tell me about that.
So me and my ex-girlfriend were on a search, and we came across a pair of camel pants. With the no contact order, I didn't feel safe bringing them to the Truro police. A no contact order means no direct or indirect contact. So it's a really weird situation I'm in. So I take them back to New Brunswick where I was living, and I take them to Sackville Police, and the Sackville Police said, well, you should have took them to the Truro Police. It's their jurisdiction, their case. We can't give them to the police. So we fought about that, fought. And then I ended up driving back to Truro and giving it to them anyway. They weren't Dylan's. There's hundreds. I think I have 780 search videos just on my YouTube. All individual searches pretty well. So I've done a lot of searches. Those are just ones I made videos of, because I noticed making search videos with some music and stuff like that was really catching people's attention, to the point where I'm followed literally across the world, like from all different provinces in the UK, Australia, pretty well every state in the United States, Canada. I've done medium psychics. I've done videos and worked with them. The UK, different provinces, right? Like all over the world. I've done so many medium psychic ones that I don't even believe in psychic mediums no more, because he's still not found, because I've done so many that they just don't even make sense no more. I've done a lot, like every day, all day.
You have really, really been through a lot, Jason, and I commend you for still, hanging in there. I mean, this has had to be very difficult for you.
It is. Like I said with the movie team, they've never seen someone with my fight drive before, and I've heard it from many, many, many people around the world. It's just, people fight, but I fight every day. If you go back every day for the last 4 years, you're gonna see some sort of fight every damn day.
And you're still currently actively searching for your son in the Bay of Fundy?
I am. Well, it's more on what we're walking for Dylan. Ever since the discovery of the misidentification of Dylan's boots, it's kind of made me not want to search the bay no more, because I just know damn well he didn't go in there. Something else happened.
Do you want me to show those pictures of the boots on your Facebook?
But I'm doing a search this Sunday in Truro, because I still feel like it's the meaning behind searching for him, because we're not 100%. So there's still a possibility he did go into the water, but it's a higher likely chance he didn't. So I still have to search. I put a stop to the searches because I had no vehicle, so it was hard for me to get to the searches. But now that I do, I can get back to what I normally do.
Now, are you looking for people to help you in the searches? If there's, because we have a lot of subscribers and people that live in Canada. Maybe there's people that are listening to this podcast right now that might be, in your area, that might be willing to.
I want anyone and everyone to join the searches. This search will be at the end of Elizabeth Street, right by the grandmother's house, around the area where Dylan went missing. And I really want to focus. I've searched it 1,000,000 times, but now that the boots aren't his, you think differently now. So I really want to just go and have another look again, and just really, get my head wrapped around all this new stuff that's been happening. Maybe I can find the boots. Yeah, it gets frustrating. We're missing something, and there's something missing, and it's possible you can find it near the foundation of where he went missing. So you can look somewhere 1,000 times and you can miss it every time. Maybe one of these times we're not going to miss it, and then I'll just continue up the river and down the bay all over again. I'll do it again. I'll search the whole damn thing again, because that's my purpose. That's what I want to do. I live for finding him. I need to start to find my own life and try to find some happiness, but I'm still fighting that. All I want to do is fight. It's like, I just want to fight. I want to find him.
I know you do.
But it's starting to make me sick. Like now I'm getting counseling now after 4 years. I noticed I was starting to slip a little bit. People don't realize when you are investigating somebody, you can ask a cop, you actually get sick from it. It makes you sick. So you imagine investigating for 4 years straight. Like, I'm starting to get sick a little bit, if that makes sense. My mind is starting to affect the brain.
I'm sure it is really taking a toll on you, and you are in our thoughts and prayers. You have so many people in this chat right now that are supporting you and praying for you. And, we want you to know that we understand. We cover cases here all the time. And here's Cherries. Cherries is in the chat, and she's missing her son. He's grown, but she still hasn't been able to find him. We have a lot of parents here that know what you're going through, and that struggle is so very difficult. Cherry,
It is. I feel like, the worst part of this whole thing is feeling like I'm fighting the battle alone. I'm in this nightmare alone. I don't talk to my family. I don't talk to Ashley. I don't talk to anybody in Nova Scotia, really. So it's tough to fight a battle by yourself and to feel like you're alone in the situation, because it's a very rare thing that Dylan is the youngest child to go missing in Nova Scotia history. He's the youngest to ever go missing in Nova Scotia, so it's tough.
Wow. What are things that you are asking people on social media to do to help support finding Dylan? What is it that you need from us here out in the public?
I want people to follow my Facebook. I want people to share his posts. I'm always looking for new ideas, and that could be anything. It could be a different way to make a poster. It could be a resource I might not have heard of. Anything like that. And what I'm planning on doing for people with missing people, to give back to the community of missing people, because we're in this club, this horrible club, and it really sucks, and I'm going to call it a club. It's a shitty club. But I want to make a pamphlet for police stations, different police stations around the world. And I want it to be like a pamphlet of all the resources. Example, Nova Scotia Canine Search and Rescue, or Wings of Mercy, based off drone technology looking for the missing. You have to register your child under Crime Stoppers. They don't do that automatically. If he's not registered, he's not known. All these things that took me months and months and months and months to find out about. I think it's crucial to make a pamphlet so when a child goes missing, the family gets that pamphlet right away, so they have all these resources right in front of them, because you can't depend on just the cops. And the cops don't give you all these resources. You actually got to go find them yourself, and by the time you find them, it's almost too late. Like, example, Nova Scotia Canine Search and Rescue, we found out about them 4 to 6 months after his disappearance. You imagine if we had found them days of his disappearance?
I agree with you.
The same day he disappeared, you know what I mean?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Resources are a valuable asset for any parent of a missing child. Jason, can I ask you a question? Have you ever thought of starting an organization that helps with the missing there in Canada? Because I think you would be a great asset, and you would be able to provide these resources to parents that may not be aware of them.
I want to do it with all my heart, and I just have no idea where to start. I don't know how to do that, if that makes sense. I don't know how to start it. I mean, if I had someone that could take the time to maybe show me how to pursue that, I would definitely want to do it. I just don't know where to begin.
I hear you. I'm not sure with Canada, but I know in the United States, there's paperwork that you fill out for a 501c3 to get started and get yourself as a nonprofit organization that helps with missing kids. But I'm not sure how it goes in Canada, to be honest with you.
I'm going to look further into it. Maybe someone can help me out. Maybe someone watching can message me and help me out.
Well, I have a few moderators in here right now.
With my brain right now and dealing with all these other things that are going on, it's hard to if I just had a little bit of help with some of this stuff, I'd probably go pretty far with it. I know I would.
Well, I've got some moderators in here that are from Canada, and I'm going to talk with them to see if they can put me in touch with some people that might be able to help you out, Jason. And
Just
I'm
to
going
give me that little nudge in the right direction.
somebody. Yeah, I mean, because you need all the help that you can get, and we'll do whatever we can to try to help.
Sounds like a plan. You have my
yeah.
messenger and stuff, so.
And I know True Crime with Dago, he's another channel that covers cases. I know he's willing to be able to talk about Dylan on his channel over there, and I think he does a really good job. So, you know, we'll just keep spreading awareness. And when we finish this live stream, you know, you can send me all the information that you want to have on that flyer that I worked on, so we can update the information about the boots and about his eye color and anything that you want to add to this flyer. If there's different pictures you want me to put on there,
definitely I will.
We'll put all of that information. These are some of the other flyers that I have seen on social media going around. You know, if you see any of these flyers, guys, on social media, please share them for Jason and for Ashley, because I know that they really do want to find answers about what actually happened to their 3-year-old son. And remember, there is a $20,000 reward for any information leading to Dylan. This is out of St. Turo, Nova Scotia, Canada. Again, he was 3 years old when he went missing on May the 6th of 2020. He's got kind of blondish brown hair. His left eye is hazel. His right eye is half hazel, half blue. And he was last seen wearing that green winter jacket with a fur hood, orange lining, the USA patches on the arms and chest, a red dinosaur t-shirt, green camouflage jogging pants, white pull-up, and gray and orange rubber boots, which we know the boots are no longer in play because of recent information that Jason...
If you go on my Facebook, one of the top posts, you will see what his boots look like. His actual real boots.
Can we go over and look at that?
Sure.
Okay,
I think what would be a real big help too is everybody share this YouTube live, because we talked about a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about. So I think a lot of people need to know about these boots. I know Global News is sharing it, but we can still do our part by sharing that this case is completely changed.
Absolutely, Jason. And Chris had a question. She wants to know why it says that he was seen wandering off. Is that just an assumption?
That's just an assumption. Nobody's seen Dylan that day, as far as we know. Nobody mentioned it to the police the days of his disappearance, within days. So if someone actually seen him wander off, there was actually a young boy that did go missing in Truro around the same time, but was found within minutes of him running off. So there was a little boy that maybe some people thought was Dylan, but it wasn't.
Tell me about this picture right here, Jason.
So the blurry picture is his real boots that were seen in a video that were zoomed in, and that's the best picture we can get even for the police. So that's what we have to work with. If you scroll to there should be a picture of just the blurry boot without the circle in it.
Okay, let me see if I've got that. I tried to blow it up so you guys could see.
Oh, there we go. I can see it right there at the bottom left corner. Yeah. So those are what his actual boots look like. And then if you go back to the news or any other video that shows the other boots, that's what we think they actually look like. I'm trying to match what that blurry picture looks like.
Yeah, because what that looks like and what this picture looks like, it doesn't.
No, if you can type in W5 News, the bizarre disappearance of Dylan, it'll show W5 News. It'll show what we thought his boots look like. The boots on that are going to be the ones that were identified wrong. So then you got an idea on the wrong ones and the right ones. And you'll see there's comparisons. So it's almost like someone tried to buy boots that were similar, threw them in the water to distract the cops. That's what it looks like now.
Now, is this on a news article or is this?
No, this is W5 News. So if you go to YouTube, type in
Okay.
W5 News Dylan Ehler.
I see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got 1.7 million views. Well, it's W5 News. It's pretty big.
I see the official W5 News. I'm just
So you
looking
see
for that particular.
the boot should
I
be the
see.
main
Oh, I
picture
see
of
that.
the.
Where's Dylan? It looks like they had a 44-minute special about him.
Yeah, that's the longest episode ever. Now you see the boots in the picture, right?
Let me
Those
see if I
those
can.
were the ones that were identified, but they were identified wrong.
Are they the ones in the blurry picture, or did I miss something? Because the ones in the blurry picture to me look more like shoes than they do boots.
The ones in the blurry picture are the boots that we just discovered. So the whole time Ashley thought the boots that should be brought up here in a second from W5 News are the ones that the police found in the brook. The one in the blurry picture is his actual boots.
Okay.
She made a mistake. So when she identified them wrong, she's like, oh fuck. And she went through video and noticed the blurry boots. And then she realized, well, they look nothing like the ones I identified. And Dylan's, if you go back to that video, Dylan's in the picture with them boots too, right? So
I see
yeah,
this
those
on
ones
the video.
there. Yeah. So you see the top of those boots, they got the stripes. The bottom of them boots would have the stripes too. I wish I could pop up a picture, but that's fine. If you watch W5 News, you'll see the boots anyway.
Yeah, this is I'm gonna grab this link for this video, and I'll be sure to add it in the description, but there are links in the description box. If anybody wants to go click on the links of this video, you can see where I got all of the information that I was researching about this live stream, and I will be sure to add the link to this particular video to it. So that if you want to watch this video, it is 44 minutes. And I think it will be really good. We may have to revisit this and watch this video.
I think it's very important that everybody watches it because W5 News is a huge, and Avery Haynes is the best investigating journalist in Canada. I mean, she's done shows everywhere in the world. So when you watch this, you got to remember the boots are not Dylan's because back then the mom thought they were his. Now they're not his. So.
Is this the brook?
Yeah, that's the brook. I talk about the brook in it and everything.
And this looks like it's pretty fast moving water.
Depends on the day. At the end of the day, it's still a brook.
Yeah, that's true. That anything's possible. Do you tell me, Jason, do you believe that your son is still alive out there?
So ever since his mom came out with identifying his boots wrong, I believe he's alive more than ever. Because now I know he didn't go in the brook. Because if you look at the difference between the boots, they're similar, but they're different. So it really looks like even the cops now think that it almost looks like they were planted.
How deep do you think that water is in the brook?
The cops said it was up to their chest, but at the hearing they were bringing at the hearing my lawyer brought up a picture of when they found the boots, and it wasn't even up to their waist. So they were exaggerating the depth of the water.
I didn't even realize a brook could be that deep, y'all.
It's not that deep. It's less than waist deep. If you look at police reports, it's going to say up to their chest. But if you actually go and look at videos of them searching in the river, which is deeper, not one of the members are up to their chest, even in the river. So it's all exaggerated. The news exaggerates, the cops exaggerate. It's no deeper than your waist at some points of the brook.
Now, when the police came out to do this search,
and that's on a high day.
Did they happen to search the grandmother's house? Did they search y'all's house? Did they
Several
do any
times.
searches several times?
The grandmother's, yes. Not our place. He wasn't there.
Okay.
I wasn't even questioned ever. Because when my son went missing, I was on a landline. I was on my mom's landline talking to victim services. So it was impossible for me to be two places at once. Impossible. So they questioned the mom. They questioned the grandmother. I requested the lie detector test on her. It was inconclusive. This is still a very active and ongoing investigation. And let's bring Dylan home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will definitely I will get that flyer fixed, and I will make sure to share that on my YouTube community wall as well as my Facebook and my Twitter. Please make sure that you're following Jason on YouTube. He does have a channel. Tell us about your channel and the name of your channel.
My channel is DED with a blue and green heart. The blue and green hearts stand for his vertical eye. There's two different colors. DED stands for Dylan Ehler's dad. And if you go through my videos, there's search videos, there's actual recordings of the very first meetings with police and search and rescue. There's recordings of the cops getting mad at me with a ransom. There's many different things in my YouTube channel that is worth watching. Not only to show how the police treated us, but how hard that I've been working on looking and trying to locate my son. And you can also go to my TikTok, which I have no idea what it's called. But I have a TikTok also. Jason Ehler.
Yeah, I think it's just under your name. I'm going to go over here and see if I can pull up your channel, and that way, and I think they are sharing it.
I think I have like 18,000 followers on it or something.
Y'all make sure that you go over there and subscribe to his channel and follow him for updates, because he does post there, and he does post on TikTok as well. And True Crime Cafe with Dago, yes, and on Facebook. Dago wants to know, can he play your videos on his channel as well to spread awareness for Dylan?
You can do and have whatever you want from them.
I appreciate you doing that, Dago, so very much.
I would love that. Share away, share everything.
And thank you guys so much for showing support to Jason and his family as they continue to fight for justice and find answers about what actually happened to little Dylan. You guys have been so very supportive, and I see a lot of people in chat are saying that they sub to you. Thanks, y'all.
I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for supporting and following and being there when I need you guys. Like I've said a million times, I wouldn't be this far without you guys. And I mean that with all my heart. I'm going to go, and I'll let these guys finish off. Take care, everybody. Thank you guys so much for having me on your show. Take care, everyone. Let's bring Dylan home.
Let's do it. Thank you, Jason, so much. Take care. If you need anything, just reach out and let us know. Y'all put some hearts and prayer hands in the chat for Jason. Y'all, he has to be so exhausted. I mean, did you hear all the things that he's been through?
Yeah, it's devastating. It's devastating. And it reminds me so much of Summer Wells' case and Sebastian Rogers' case and so many of the other cases that we've covered over here.
I just felt like it was really important. I wanted him to know that we were going to share his son's story. And he said, I will go anywhere to talk about my son because I am desperate to find him. If you send me a link, I'll be there. And so I did, because I felt like when you hear it from the family, you know how serious it is. And when he was telling me today about the harassment and the things that he has gone through, people vilifying him, I really just don't know, Arctic, how I would react in that situation. If my child was missing, I would probably be off the rails.
Me too. Me too. And like I said, my heart goes out to Jason because, you know, I really wish that people had compassion and wanting to just rip parents apart at the first chance they get with nothing put out by law enforcement saying they had anything to do with a disappearance. But, that's what brings clicks and views, I guess.
Yes. And in the beginning, y'all, I did ask him about did he have a favorite color? Could he share some intimate things about what Dylan's interests were? I mean, he was 3 when he went missing, and y'all, he's going to be 8 years old this year. So I'm sure those things would have changed over time. And he did speak a little bit about that. Jason's very passionate. And I like that because he's not afraid to get out here and speak his mind and stand up for what he feels is right to try to get answers to bring his child home. And I just feel terrible that law enforcement, I feel like they've kind of let this family down. Like, I've read so many articles. And there was this group, by the way, on Facebook. Y'all, it is terrible. I mean, some of the things that they have said in there. And I just want to say real quick to the people in chat that were causing derision and blaming Jason, please don't come back to this channel because we don't do that over here. You need to mind your manners. Because what if this was happening to you? Would you want people to be attacking you? If your child was missing? There's other parents in this chat right now, and their children, adult or minor, that's missing. I would never stand for that to happen to them either. They deserve respect. They deserve grace. They deserve to be able to tell their story because it's their family. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who was here and was very supportive and allowed Jason to speak his truth and get his story out there and to share Dylan's story with us. My heart really goes out to him. The harassment is scary, Elizabeth. It is very scary. And so please do go follow Jason and support him. To all of my subscribers and moderators, if you're from Canada and you can put me in touch with the resources that I can send over to Jason to help him do the things that he is interested in doing, please let me know. You guys can hit me up on my email, which is here on the bottom of my screen, duchessforthemissing@gmail.com, or you can reach me on Facebook, or if we're connected on Discord, you can always reach me over there. And I do appreciate you guys being here. I just felt like was asked to cover this case. I had not heard about Dylan's story, and it's a lot. It's a lot, and I can't wait to see his news article on Global News, that interview. I think it's going to be really good to go back and maybe watch this video to see, what has already been talked about. And I want to, in the future, once he does this interview, I would like to go back and view that with you guys. Can you guys give me some feedback? If you would like for me to talk about this case again and maybe play that video that Jason recommended for us to watch, that's 44 minutes. We can take a look at that and we can talk about it and maybe talk about this future interview that he's going to be doing with Global News. Are you guys interested in doing something like that? Maybe we can have some panel guests and we can talk about it. Dago, maybe if you want to do that, that would be great. Arctic, Cold Case Crystal, if maybe we could just have a little and just discuss it. We've really got to continue to get the awareness out because we can beat these cases into the ground and go live about the same one child over and over and over, or we can continue to talk about different cases all across the globe and get awareness out in hopes that we can shake things up, get the information out there. Maybe somebody will recognize this child. They can call in a tip. Remember, there is a $20,000 reward. Elizabeth said, can we have him back with our questions? I'm sure Jason would probably be more than happy to do that. He's such a nice guy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And my heart, like I said, goes out to him. This definitely needs more coverage. So, guys, make sure you share this stream out. I know Dago's going to cover it. So make sure to tune in for that. I've got a premiere on the case tomorrow. Tune into that. We need as many eyes on this as possible.
That's right, Mike. Nobody knows what happened to Dylan. We can't be accusing people. Facts and evidence matters. Facts and evidence matters. And that's the only thing that has any weight. Our opinions are not going to solve these cases. I am not a detective. I am not law enforcement. I am simply advocating to keep these missing children and missing adults' faces and factual information circulating because we don't want them to be forgotten. There are so many people that are missing. Once the law enforcement puts it out, then it's on to the next because more people the very next day are going missing. And what about the people who've been missing, like Cold Case Crystal and Arctic Fox have been doing a lot of cold cases. There's kids that have been missing for 10 or 15 years, and nobody's talking about those cases. That's why we have to come together. That's right, Slim, until they all come home. We have to keep speaking up for the ones left behind. That's right, CLK. It's a lot, especially for people like Cherries, like Christina, like Timmy's Legacy, Barbara. You know, we have a lot of parents that come here because they're seeking their own justice. They're still searching for their loved ones. And we cannot even begin to fathom what they're going through because we're not walking in those shoes. So we have to learn to have compassion and empathy. So when I get that flyer made, I will post it. I will send it to Arctic, and we will be sharing it out far and wide. And Zena, I appreciate you so very much, my dear friend. Thank you. And I did see Jaded pop in here earlier. Thank you, Jaded, for popping in here. All my Canadian friends, if you could please share this out for little Dylan and his dad and his mom. I just hope that he can be found and that they can find the answers that they need and deserve. I just do want to express, though, once again, we have another case where law enforcement may not have done the exact job that they needed to do, and that is disappointing. But we also have another family that is fighting these Facebook groups and these people that are going real life with the doxing, the threats, the harassment. I just don't understand how that's helping. Because we're not going to do that on this channel. Wings of Mercy is great. I understand that they donated a drone to help look for Dylan. So that is wonderful. I appreciate you, Zena. Thank you, Timmy's Legacy, for being here. Wait a minute. Arctic has a broken knob. What? Where did that come in?
Oh my God. Okay, let me explain. I have a broken doorknob on one of my office doors, and when I replaced it, it wouldn't latch properly. So now I always get shit because of my broken knob.
Good to know. That's good to know because I was getting a little concerned for a minute. Oh my gosh. See what you did, Cash. See what you did. Dago, and thank you for being here, Dago, and thank you for being willing to talk about this case. I think that Jason needs all the help that he can get. He's doing this alone, guys. And hats off to him because that did take a turn, Nash. That took a sharp turn. That's what I get when I start reading comments, y'all. It goes off the rails. Nonsense said, I thought someone said Arctic was a broken knob. No, but that's right. Bless him. Poor Arctic. Now, listen, there's a winter storm going on out there. And if you are in the pathway of that, I want you guys to be safe out there. Please do not forget to hit the like button and share this out for Jason to get awareness out about his son. And I do appreciate every single one of you for being here. Thank each and every one of you that is a member. Thank you, True Crime Cafe, for being a member with me for 10 months. I appreciate that so much, Dago. Zena with Fire, thank you for becoming a member again, and thank you so much for being a moderator. Thank you, Jana, for your super sticker for $1.99 from Dago's Morning Show family. I really appreciate that. Kimber, I'm glad to see you back as a member, darling. Thank you so much. And CLK, thank you so much for your super chat. I'm sending you positive energy and healing thoughts. Let's bring Dylan home. Thank you. Thank you, CLK. And I appreciate all of my moderators. You did a hell of a job tonight. I appreciate you for all the things that you do, dropping all the links. Michelle is the queen. She does an excellent job, except for when she accidentally whacked Esther by accident. Esther, I'm so sorry. I tried to fix it. So if you're out there, Esther, and you're still listening, we love you. We love you. It was an accident. I hope that you can still come back. And thank you, members. Thank you for being a part of this channel so that we can continue the awareness. And thank you, Arctic, for joining me for this very important live stream. And we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep the mission on point, and doing our best to share these cases with dignity and respect. And I hope everybody has an amazing night. I've kept you here long enough. We've been here for 2 hours and 30 minutes. So I'm going to let you guys go. I hope that you enjoy your Thursday evening. I'm going to go eat my Chick-fil-A sandwich and spend some time with my husband. I'm going to get to work on this flyer, and I'll have that up as soon as possible. But I just want to thank you all for allowing Jason to share his story and his fight to get answers for his son, Dylan. And I hope you'll join me on the next live stream. I'll see you back on Monday, and we're going to talk about some more missing cases, and I'm going to share some missing flyers. If you have a case that you want me to cover, you can email me at duchessforthemissing@gmail.com, and I'll do my best to get a video out, or we may have a live stream just like this. So take care, guys. Don't forget to crush that like. Bye, y'all.
You're an